Alright, so like I said, guys, we're going to talk about writing equations of circles today. And we're going to focus on circles that are centered at 0, 0. Tomorrow we'll talk about circles centered at HK, which means we can have them centered anywhere. But today just going to be 0, 0. So what is true about any point on the circle with radius 10? What did you say, Renee? The distance is 10. What do you mean the distance is 10? From 0, 0, from the origin, right? The radius of that circle is 10. So what is true at any point, the radius of 10? Its distance, it works now. Distance from the origin is 10. No matter where I go on that circle, I could pick any point on that circle, it should be 10 away from the origin. Because it's centered at 0, 0 and has a radius of 10. So it should be 10 away from the origin, right? 10 away from the origin. I'd rather say center, I lied. From the center. Because it won't always be centered at the origin. That's my bad. Because like I said, tomorrow we'll talk about our centers being different than the origin. So then we want to write an equation for a circle centered at 0, 0 with a radius of 10. And I know we haven't taught you this yet, but I just want you to think about it. And we gave you a little hint. We want you to think about Pythagorean theorem. How might I write an equation for the circle if I'm using Pythagorean theorem? How would that help me? So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? Well, if I know my point is x, y, because it can be any point, right? So we can pick any point on that circle. Well, what's this distance here? X. What's this distance here? Y. So we can pick any point anywhere. And it's going to have a hypotenuse of 10, right? Well, if I use Pythagorean theorem using that triangle, how does it come out? X squared plus y squared equals 10 squared. Well, the only difference between that and how I'm going to write the equation for my circle is going to be, I'm going to do 10 squared because I know how to do that. What's 10 squared? 100. 100. So we would get x squared plus y squared equals 100. That is the equation for a circle centered at 0, 0 with a radius of 10. Right? So that works because our hypotenuse was 10. Does that make sense? We use Pythagorean theorem. Well, a lot of stuff in this unit is coming from Pythagorean theorem. Right? Distance formula did. This just did. Well, what if I asked you to do the exact same thing, but I gave you a radius of r? It's the same thing, right? If I have an x value here and a y value here, I can say x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Whatever your radius is, we're going to set it equal and square it. So that is the formula right here for a circle centered at 0, 0. That is your equation. Works for any circle centered at 0, 0. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's how we're going to write their equations. Now, we're also going to see tomorrow when we have it centered at HK, which can be anywhere on the coordinate plane. It'll change that a little bit, but it's going to be this basic same format. And we'll see why it actually turns into that if it's 0, 0. Okay? So that's if it's on the circle. Well, what do you think it's going to be for points in the circle? They didn't have a guess what it might be? So if I pick this point here, what's actually going to happen is there's a really easy way to figure it out. If it's in the circle, it's going to be x squared plus y squared is less than the radius squared. And if it's outside the circle, it's going to be x squared plus y squared is greater than the radius squared. Now let's think about that for a second. Why do you think it's less than if it's inside the circle like this? What's that? Well, I wouldn't call it a radius, but it has a smaller distance than the radius, right? My x squared plus y squared is going to be smaller than the actual radius. So it's less than the radius squared, right? And if it's outside the circle, let's say it's over here, it has a, well, where are we going here? It's x squared plus y squared is bigger than the radius squared. So that's why if it's outside the circle, it's greater than the radius squared. If it's inside the circle, it's less than the radius squared. And it would equal the radius squared if it's on the circle. Does that make sense? So we might give you a point, like later today even we're going to do it, and we say, hey, is this point going to be on, inside, or outside the circle? And we're going to use these formulas to try and figure that out. Okay? Any questions? We good still? You sure? All right, let's try a couple. So, I didn't skip anything, did I? Are we good to go? So good? Okay, write the equation for a circle centered at 0, 0 and a radius of 6. Any circle centered at 0, 0 will always start, like I said before, x squared plus y squared equals, and what did we say that last part was? 6 squared, or the radius squared. It equals the radius squared. So if I take 6 and I square it, I get 36. So it should equal 36. Okay? Pretty good so far. Same thing for the next one. Write the equation of a circle centered at 0, 0 with a radius of 2.5. So x squared plus y squared equals 2.5 squared, which is
6.25.
6.25. Good. Thank you for not saying 5. Good. Right? We do not want you to write 2.5 squared. We do not want you to write 6 squared. Because we can do those calculations, actually do them. Okay? Alright. Well then, let's work the other way. We give you the equation x squared plus y squared equals 144. Well, where's it centered? 0, 0, right? X squared plus y squared, guys. This piece right here tells me it's centered at 0, 0. Like I said, tomorrow we'll see what it looks like if it's not at 0, 0. And then, how do I find my radius?
Square root.
Square root what?
144.
144, right? Because 144 should be the radius squared. So if I take the square root of it, I should get my radius. What do I get?
12 squared.
Just 12, right? Now, why don't we get negative 12 as well?
Because you square root.
Well, but we square rooted last unit, we got 12 and negative 12.
Because the radius can't be negative.
A radius can't be negative, right? We can't have a negative distance. So it's only 12, right? Positive 12. Okay, what about the center and the radius of this circle? X squared plus y squared equals 20. What about the center for that one?
0, 0.
0, 0. Okay. Well then, square root of 20.
2 root 5.
2 root 5, right? We don't want a decimal. We do not want a decimal talking about radius. We got the exact number. Now, we're going to have to graph some ugly radicals, and then you can approximate it to graph it, but still when I ask you for the radius, I still want it in simplified radical form. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does everyone know where we got 2 root 5 from there? Yes, no. Okay. All right. Then any questions, or can I keep going? Ooh. Hey, why is this one different? Write the equation of circle centered 0, 0 and goes to the point negative 6, 8. What's that? It gives us a point instead of a radius. Ooh. We will be able to do that in a little bit, but we're not going to do it right now. So, given the point 5, 12 on the circle centered 0, 0, this is kind of like what we just looked at, right? Except it's asking us, can we find the radius of this circle? 5, 12 is on the circle, and I want to find the radius. How can I find it? Someone I haven't heard from today. So not Renee, sorry. Not Natalie, I heard from her already. Aiden?
You could just find the hypotenuse of the right triangle, or the distance.
Yeah, right? If I know I'm at 5, 12 here, right, it's obviously an approximation. I know this is 5, and this is 12. Well, the hypotenuse of that is my radius. Remember, if we go back, the formula for a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. If I plug my x and my y in, I can solve for r. So if it ever asks you to find the radius and it gives you a point that's on the circle, You can go ahead and plug them in. 5 squared plus 12 squared equals r squared. Well, that's 25 plus 144. What's 25 plus 144?
69.
169. And how do I solve for r? Take the square root. So we get the radius equal to 13. Well, can you write an equation for that circle now? Centered at 0, 0, radius of 13? Yeah, we could go x squared plus y squared equals 169. So if it gives you a point and it gives you the center, you should be able to find your radius and then write an equation. Does that make sense? Do we have any questions on that? No? Yes? Maybe? Ange?
Why don't we just put 13 for the x squared plus y squared?
Equals? Because remember, this is our formula. So if that's our equation for this circle, if I plug 13 in, I got to square it. Right? Because it'll be the square root of 13 will be my radius. Okay? Alright. Then, let's think about this for a second. If I give you that same circle, it's centered at 0, 0. You know it has a radius of 13 now. We just found that, right? Radius is 13. And you know 512 is on that circle. Can you list any other points on that circle? There should be 11 other points we can name. What are the odds we can get them all, you think? 0? You don't think we can get...
0 and 15.
What? You think you can get 5? I bet we can get all 11. Okay? Well, let's think about it. If I know the radius is 13, and I start at 0, 0, I should be able to name at least 4 points. Everyone should be able to list 4 points. AJ, can you give me one of them, you think?
0, 0.
Well, that's where we started. If I have a radius of 13, where can I go from there?
You go up.
I can go up. If I go up 13, what point am I at then?
13, 1. I mean 1, 13.
Well, not 1, 13, but 0, 13, right? Because I started at 0, 0, I just went straight up 13. Good. That's 1 point that's on the circle as well. Keep going around to your table. Renee, can you give me another one?
0, negative 13.
0, negative 13. I can go straight down. Okay, Larson?
Negative 5, 12.
Negative 5, 12. Very good, right? Negative 5 squared plus 12 squared still gives me 13 squared. So negative 5, 12. Johnny, you got one for me?
Nope.
No? It's a shame. Chewy, what about you?
Negative 13, 0.
Negative 13, 0. We can go straight left from our origin. Lexi, you got one for me?
Could you do 5 and negative 12?
5 and negative 12. That would work as well. Right? Because if we use Pythagorean theorem with all those, they still work. They're still on our circle. All right, to the next pod there. Conan, you got one?
12, 5.
12, 5. You can switch it around. Right? Make 12 our x value, 5 our y value. 8 and z.
You can do -12,
Negative 12, 5. Look at this, we're really close. Where you got, what, 7? We need 4 more. 8, what do you got?
Wait, we got 13, 0.
13, 0. Good. Go straight right from the origin. Katie, you got one for me?
Negative, no. Oh, yeah. Negative 5, negative 12.
Negative 5, negative 12. Good. Right, the other one that fits in there is the 5, 12 we started with. We have 2 more. Culver, you got one? No? What if we look at this column over here? We have 12, 5, negative 12, 5.
12, negative 5.
12, negative 5 would work. Conroy, there's one more. Negative 12, negative 5. Right? We're just going all the way around the circle. We can switch our x and y values. We can switch their positives and negatives. We can use our radius and go straight up and down, straight left and right. You can find all sorts of points that are on there as long as they fit that Pythagorean theorem. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. They fit our equation of a circle. Alright? Does that make sense? So there might even be problems where we ask you, can you name at least 3 other points on this circle now? Okay, does that make sense? How we found those points? Why they're on our circle? Yes? No? These are a lot of great feedback today. Alright. Then, can we answer this now? Write the equation of a circle centered at 0, 0 goes to the point negative 6, 8. Can I answer that now? Can I write that equation? Abby, can I write that equation now?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I do it?
You do the x, like find the distance, like the radius.
Perfect, we're going to find the radius, right? And we're going to use that point we were given that's on the circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. Well, plug in your x and your y. Negative 6 squared plus 8 squared equals r squared. Or 36 plus 64 equals r squared, which would be 100 equals r squared. If I take the square root of 100, what do I get? 10. So my radius is 10. So now that I know my radius, I know it's centered at 0, 0, I can write an equation. Anything centered at 0, 0.
X squared plus y squared.
Good, x squared plus y squared. And then it equals my radius squared, which should be 100. So if it gives you your center and your point, find your radius. And then write the equation. Alright, we have like 5-ish problems to do yet. They'll be quick, I promise. Okay? So, next one. Are they in, out, or on the circle? I warned you of this earlier today already. Right? We said we're going to try these. There's a sprinkler in the center of a lawn that has a radius of 14. Right? Will the trees be watered? In other words, will they be on, in, or outside the circle? Okay, well, what's the equation of my circle of my sprinkler? It's centered in our lawn, centered at 0, 0, we'll say. Well, it'd be x squared plus y squared equals what? 196, right? It's 14 squared. So that's the equation of the circle that sprinkler hits. So if I have my coordinate plane of a lawn, my sprinkler, it's all the way around until 14 at every point, right?
That was a really good circle.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So, how can we figure out if these trees are going to be watered? Let's think about it. If it's outside the circle, will the tree get watered?
No.
No. If it's on the circle, will it get watered?
Yeah.
If it's in the circle, will it get watered? Yes. So anything on or inside the circle is going to get watered. So to figure it out, what we're going to do is we're going to take our x and our y value and we're going to see, is it equal to the radius squared? Is it less than the radius squared? Or is it greater than the radius squared? Well, negative 6 squared plus negative 13 squared. And we want to know what is that to 196. Right? We don't know yet. We don't know if it's less than, greater than, or equal. Well, 36 plus 169, what does that come out to? 36 plus 169? 205. So 205, is that less than, greater than, or equal to 196? That's greater than. Which means it is what? Outside the circle, which means it won't be watered. Very good. So A, no, will not be watered. Let's try B. Negative 9 squared plus 10 squared, we're comparing it to 196. 81 plus 100 is 181. That is less than 196. So my x squared plus y squared is less than my radius squared, which means it's inside the circle. And it will get watered. So yes, B will get watered. Alright, then our last one here. We have negative 12 squared plus negative 8 squared. Like I said, we're comparing to 196. 144 plus 64. What does that give me? 208. Is that greater than, less than, or equal to 196? Greater than. Which means it's outside the circle, so will it get watered?
No.
No, it will not get watered. Alright, so does that make sense? We're trying to compare our x and our y value compared to our radius. Alright? Any other questions? Well, we got 2 problems left to do, and that's it. Anything? We good? Okay, let's talk about graphing circles really quickly, and then we'll be on our way. How do I graph this? First of all, x squared plus y squared equals 49. What is my center? 0, 0, right? X squared plus y squared tells me my center is at 0, 0. Which I always like to plot the center first. Put a point in our center. Okay? Then, my radius. What is my radius going to be? 7. How'd you get that?
49 squared.
The square root of 49, right? So my radius is 7. You need 4 points besides your center to draw your circle. How do you think we're going to get that? And?
Can I just say 4 points already?
You could if you wanted.
Okay, 0, 7,
Okay?
7, 0,
Oops.
negative 7, 0, and 0, negative 7.
Good, right? All we're doing is going from the center, guys. You're going to go up 7, left 7, right 7, down 7, and then sketch in your circle. Right? I get it. Your circles won't be perfect. Please just do not make them diamonds or boxes. That does not work. You need to try and give it an effort to make it a circle. That wasn't terrible, right? Right? I get it. It's not going to look perfect, guys. But if you put in your best effort, that is fine. Okay. Last one. X squared plus y squared equals 30. What's my center?
0, 0.
0, 0. Very good. Okay. What is my radius? The square root of 30. When you answer that question, what is my radius? I expect it in least radical form, right? Simplified radical form. Now, do you know what square root of 30 is to graph? No. So you, at that point, change it to a decimal, and then you approximate it, right? What does it approximately come out to? 5.5? So then when you go to graph it, you're going to go from your center, you're going to go up 5.5, left 5.5, down 5.5, and to the right 5.5. And then approximately draw your circle. Well, to be honestly, let's just do this. Look at that perfect circle I just drew.
That was actually pretty good.
That's really good, isn't it?
That is very good.
That's, oh, someone say perfect.
Good hand.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
I got you guys.
Yeah, you did.
Alright. Guys, any questions on what we did today? Alright, then tomorrow we're talking about circles not centered at 0, 0, centered all over the place. Till then, subscribe, swipe up.
Like and comment.
Like and comment.